Hello there. 'Tis the month of Halloween at the time of this recording, and I thought the month Michael Myers Always Comes Home might be a good time to go over the teen wolf creatures that, like dear Mr. Myers, are unkillable.
Unkillable.
There's a bunch, actually. I'm not talking about the soft, squishy humans that always seem to avoid death, nor am I getting into those creatures that are just really hard to kill, like the werewolves. No, this one is about those that cannot ever be truly destroyed. If you enjoy these weekly trips back to Beacon Hills, subscribe and join me for regular doses of the fun and nostalgia of Teen Wolf. First up in the unkillable category, the Ghost Riders. The primary reason they can't be killed is because riders are just the spirits of humans that were taken by the hunt. In other words, the souls the riders take become Ghost Riders. Apparently, they get a snazzy cowboy outfit, are assigned a horse, and get put to work. But, I hear you saying, we did see that one time when Lydia and the sheriff scream shot and killed the one that was choking out Styles. Yep, they did that, but if you notice, when they shot the rider pretending to be Claudia, it vanished in a puff of green smoke, just like all the people the Ghost Riders took before. She didn't die. Just like those people didn't die. She just popped back into the wild hunt and kept on riding. So yeah, the Ghost Riders are unkillable.
Unkillable.
Hellhounds are next. These spirits run with the hunt too, but they have a much broader job description. Check out my Hellhounds Are Forever video for the full picture on that. For now, I'm just focused on the fact that they cannot be killed. Yes, we saw the second Hellhound, Howlin, put down by a bullet to the head, but that did not actually kill him. It was the bullet stuck inside his brain that made healing impossible, so he was on a slab in the morgue for a while. But he popped right up once Lydia pulled the bullet out with that big magnetic scanner at the hospital. Here's where things started to go wrong for Hallwin. Once the bullet was out, his body started heating up. Getting hot is part of how Hellhounds heal. And this would have worked too had that bullet not been partially made of silver. Apparently, the charismatic, unique, and talented Monroe was under the impression that only silver can kill monsters. That is a misinterpretation, because it was argents that kill monsters, and argent happens to be the French word for silver. Anyway, the bullet was at least partially made of silver. That is a soft, non-magnetic metal. So when the rest of the projectile came out, silver fragments remained inside his head. Add heat, and those fragments melt quickly. So Hallwin basically poisoned himself with silver while he was trying to heal. In doing so, he damaged his human body beyond repair. But the Hellhound that was animating Hallwin is not dead. We know the other Hellhound entered and controlled Parrish at the moment the deputy got blowed up in Afghanistan. This requires that the Hellhound had to be somewhere else before, and that strongly suggests that it will just return to that same somewhere after its human body dies. So while the humans they inhabit may expire, the Hellhound itself is unkillable.
Unkillable.
This was my game. Think you can beat me in my game?
Next up, the Nugitsune. You'd actually be surprised by how many faithful Teen Wolf viewers think that Scott and Kira killed the Nugitsune. But this housefly is the corporeal form of the Nugitsune spirit after its body is destroyed. It was summoned into this world by Noshiko back in 1943, and it has never left. It first possessed the corpse of Reese before the combined efforts of Noshiko and Satomi brought it out of that body. It was trapped, a helpless housefly in a jar under the Nematon, until Styles, Allison, and Scott re-energized the tree's stump while the Darok was generating earthquakes around it. The Nugitsune then escaped, grabbed Styles, made a new style-shaped body, and ultimately ended up back in insect form. From the information provided, that same Nugitsune is still alive and well and currently residing inside this box somewhere in Europe. It's a housefly, and hopefully it can do no harm while it's in that form, but it's not dead. Of course, Styles was dealing with the second Nugitsune we know about. The first was inside the gangster killed during one of Chris Argent's first arms deal. This Nugitsune ended up at the pointy end of Oni swords, but it didn't actually die. There's no evidence that this one remains on our plane of existence, but like the Hellhound, Noshiko had to summon her Nugitsune from somewhere, and it is to that somewhere this other Nugitsune likely returned. In short, the Nugitsune are unkillable.
Unkillable.
On a side note, the regular Kitsune might well be unkillable too. There is a fox spirit that is separate from the human body. Now, it would follow that a spirit form like that cannot be killed, but there's still enough uncertainty that I'm not ready to declare them fully unkillable.
Unkillable. Maybe.
One of the most physically complicated characters on the show was the Anuk-Ite. It was definitely a spirit form. It appeared as a swarm of spiders. It possessed animals and ultimately took the form of a human and a werewolf. But even after all that, it wasn't fully formed yet. One of the people shapes had to kill the other person shape, and then all the little spiders went from one to the other, and it became a giant skinned weasel. Hallwyn basically laid out the situation here.
You can't kill it.
But you did.
I trapped it. You can't let the two halves merge. If you do, you won't be able to catch it.
And he was right as far as that goes, but he was wrong that they couldn't catch it. Again, the Anuk-Ite is not dead. It's just all wrapped up in mountain ash, unable to move.
Unkillable.
I like to imagine that in order to get rid of it, they just had Parrish call up the Wild Hunt on the Hellhound hotline. Get it? Because the Hellhounds would have a hotline? Never mind. Thanks for watching. Did I forget somebody? I always seem to forget something, but that's what the comments are for. I'll see you next time we go back to Beacon Hills.